and Black Glory, only to fall just short. Danny Frawley.
Well, thanks very much. I got myself a new jacket, got myself a new host, and also I got myself a new coach. Well, Danny, only a couple of minutes before we go out there. How are the nerves at the moment?
As we welcome you to the MCG for this knockout semi-final. The two sides that haven't battled out in this sort of situation for almost 20 years, Richmond and Carlton. Chance now maybe for Richardson. He's inside 50 over the top to Hilton. Is this the end for Carlton? It is! Hilton kicks the goal. Fletcher tries to fling it over the bar. It's over. Richmond are through to a preliminary final. Oh, I think every picture tells a story.
Grinning from ear to ear, Danny Frawley.
Here's the opening bounce. Keating wins it wide towards centre wing. Ackermanis couldn't control it initially. Voss with strength and skill, banging it around into the pocket. He wants Scott. He might have to sucker off the ground. He picks it up. He controls it, and he kicks the opening goal. Might kick one, will he? From 55, does he go all the way? He does! Acker celebrates like no one else can. Gasper, who's done well, has control of the football. He's not happy with the result, and this Gabba crowd celebrate. Brisbane play Essendon in the grand final.
Brisbane won 3 premierships in a row. I was there for the build of that. It was a 10-year build. It was a 10-year build to win the first premiership. You just have to be patient and stick the course, and that's something that Richmond didn't do.
In the end, they have rubbed it right into the Tigers tonight. Let's have a listen to what Danny Frawley's copied.
Danny Frawley is a lot of things to a lot of people. TV court jester, ex-AFL hardman and upholder of Fox Footy's Golden Fist, radio provocateur, and as the former coach of the Richmond Football Club, he also admits to being a tortured soul. The pain of his sacking still resonates, but as the former chief of the AFL Coaches Association, he's also a glutton for punishment. He counselled many sacked coaches when they were at their lowest ebb. In the end, that might have brought upon some of his own demons. Frawley played 240 mostly excellent games as St Kilda's fullback, a player Gary Ablett Sr. once described as the best fullback in the game. Then he went on to coach Richmond for 113 games from 2000 to 2004, including that famous march to a preliminary final in only his second season. As a typically frank Frawley admits, his decision to top up that list would ultimately see him sacked just 3 seasons later. Frawley lifts the lid on everything. His mental health battles, that famous load of chicken manure dumped at Punt Road, being spat at while leaving the ground in his final days, how he almost coached the Saints after a Grant Thomas overture, and the dramatic final months of his tenure under President Clinton Casey. While the final curtain was drawn in 2004, Frawley could hear the alarm bells ringing all the way back in 2001, just weeks after the Tigers bowed out in the preliminary final to the eventual three-peat Lions.
We finished third, and looking back, we played Brisbane. I wasn't to know that...
Eventual premiers as well.
Well, they were going to be one of the greatest teams of all time, really. You sort of
should
knew...
have a couple of extra contract.
Well, I think I did get an extension after that year, but it was all about how can we go the next step. There was nothing really done behind the scenes to actually assess the year. The year wasn't assessed at all, from board level, from my level, and even the footy department. So, and I'm not blaming anyone other than myself, because I think if we had have assessed it, we won a lot of close games. Gale, Cameron, Broderick, those guys are getting long in the tooth. We had a really good run with injury. So, yeah, you'd give it a huge pass mark, but the whole thing was how can we get better? And I spent most of that summer, convincing players to stay for less, because the new media rights come in. Gasper got offered a huge deal, Ben Holland. I think 19 out of our 22 were out of contract. Imagine that.
Yeah.
The list management strategy wasn't great.
That's tough.
Now to have a list management group of 10, you probably had,
Yeah, and it was no one's fault. It was just the way it was. We had 19 out of the 22 that played in the prelim final out of contract. So not only were we trying to entice players, we had to convince players to stay for less. And there's no doubt my brand was tarnished after that, looking back. Because you're on good money, Glenn.
I wish, Danny.
And you're playing well for the Tigers. I'm hypothetical here.
Yeah.
Probably a little back pocket.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. Forward pocket. That's about it.
You've been offered a deal somewhere else, but I've actually convinced you through my relationships I've had with you to stay for less. Now, that's okay when things are going well. And I'm a big adage of winning can wallpaper over a lot of cracks. And for whatever reason, things went, well, not for whatever reason. We just didn't And that was the draft of 2001. Gee, our first pick was 33, I think. Dave
That's
Rowe.
not the one you want to have the pick in like that, do you?
You got Stafford in.
Super
or-
draft.
Yeah,
Gave
Stafford.
away 17 for Stafford. Yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Pick 17 was St Kilda to Sydney
Yeah, Barry Hall.
to St
and-
Kilda to
Wow.
Geelong.
Yeah.
James Kelly.
Yep.
Every
Yeah.
time I saw James Kelly play, I thought, gee, that was our salary cap issue.
Yeah, gee.
So, and 99 and 2001, if you have a look at those drafts, that you think about the dark days, that's when I used to beat myself up. Those drafts weren't great for us. It wasn't anyone's fault, but the players we picked up weren't anywhere near the calibre when you look at my adversary who started at that particular stage in Mark Thompson. If you have a look at the draft picks he got in 99 and 2001,
Those two drafts for Geelong set up those
and as I said,
three premierships.
I'm not going to
in a
hear to
sense.
individualise, but
No.
the players we got, they tried their hardest, but they just weren't quite up to it, and that's not blame. It was initially with me, but not now. It was just that's the way it was.
Richmond, they're a unique brand of sort of supporter base in that sense, aren't they? And you would have known that going in, that it's that sort of situation.
Yeah.
What do you remember about Gecko? This is take you back to the early part of the early part of 2001. Gecko, the Richmond supporter,
I know.
and the chicken poo when he delivered, I think it was 5 tons of chicken poo.
Was.
At that stage, you'd lost 3 games in a row.
That's right. I think
Not realising you're going to go on and play finals.
I
And
think we're 5-1, and then we ended up, I think, on SEN or one of the stations playing Geelong. We're going down to Geelong. I thought, geez, we're in a bit of a downer at the moment. We're 5-3. Yeah, we lost the last 2. If Frawley, the Tigers don't win this game, I'm going to. It's just. I can swear here. Chicken shit. I'm going to dump it. So anyway, Monday comes, we're flat as biscuits. We've started 5-1. Now all of a sudden we're 5-4. So I think, gee, is this going to continue? In a roundabout way, it broke the ice because Mark Brayshaw, I think the footage, he had some godly forsaken bloody vest on. His fashion wasn't great. He's come into the match committee and said, we can't get out. Some guys delivered 5 ton of chicken shit on the front door. Anyway, everyone's turned up. This was the media. This was outrage, but inwardly I could see the real funny side of it. And what a lot of people don't understand that when all the dust had settled and all the media guys were there making because that was the lead story. I got Teddy Soderblom, the property steward, to get a couple of the old chaff bags and had the footies in. And I got a shovel and he goes, what are you doing? I said, mate, I'm going to shovel a bit of this chicken manure in the 2 bags. So I got it, and I'll tell you what, my rose is now looking magnificent. So I got to congratulate Gecko. Teddy saw the
Gecko.
Mark Brayshaw said, what are you doing? And I said, mate, I'm getting some for me gut.
we missed the photo opportunity.
Being an old farm boy, that was, mate, a bit of rain with a bit of chicken manure. Watch it grow.
So you knew you were supposed to be offended as the Richmond senior coach, but as the boy from Bungaroo, you think this is piss
Mate,
funny.
that was as funny out inside the walls as I've been in a footy club, I reckon, because that guy was true to his word. I've met him, I think, since. He was.
So he has. You've met
I
him
think we
around the
met
traps.
somewhere through the media. Someone must have sort
He
of.
spent a bit of money. Like I think it was might have been $1,000 to actually organise that. So that's pure passion, isn't
No,
it?
that's passion. And they were, look, the Richmond supporters are passionate. Not they were, they are. And if you look back in 2001, I think we led the attendances that year, over 1 million people or something like that. They were very, very passionate. You knew when they get success. That's why Brendan Gale, I think, was the perfect guy to come in at that time just to add some real stability. And that was one thing. As I said, you look at not having to go on any personnel whatsoever, but I had 5 footy ops and 4 CEOs. And I had a president who...
This is in 5 years of football.
Yeah, 5 years of footy. So I had no continuity there, and I saw that, and Leon Daphne, to his unbelievable credit, he was the guy that gave me the job. He went through the interview process after Jeff left. But unbeknownst to me, I think when he said that he had to sack Wolsey and get Jeff Gushin in, that he'd never be a president for another coach taking over.
He took responsibility.
So he
didn't
took the responsibility of getting the next coach, which was me. He took me out for lunch 2 days later and said, well done on getting the job, and I was really excited. He said, by the way, I'm resigning. I thought, what?
Oh no, that's not what you're going to hear.
That's not what you
Not
want
at
to
all.
hear. But you could see why he would have been such a great president, because he was true to his word.
Did it worry you, Richmond, taking on the job at Richmond? It was a huge task, but knowing that they'd sacked a lot of coaches through that period of time and had quite a reputation for sacking coaches.
Yeah, I did. But then I thought, well, am I ever going to get a job? as a senior coach, because I still had the overtures to go back in the farm. And I always wanted to have a crack, and I thought, because I always had my eye on St Kilda, and I thought, gee, it'd be great to go back there, because what a lot of people don't understand, that Barks was great to see him get inducted into the AFL Hall of Fame. When I retired, he had just coached a couple of flags at Sandy, was the assistant under Stan in my last year in 95. I was going to get a bit of IP and go back and help Barks.
And Barks, yeah.
If he got the job, and he was going to get the job.
It seemed like it was going to happen.
He was. Yeah. He was anointed. I knew the power brokers behind the scenes, and they were very supportive of me as well, going away, go and get some IP. And when Barks, when and if that ever happened, and it didn't happen. So that sort of, obviously didn't eventuate. So when the Richmond job came up, the more I thought about leading teams, that was one of the reasons why I did get it. Because Ray McLean, I was his first disciple in 95. And he had a fairly big guy who had a great hold on Harvey and Lowe, because I was captain for 9 years, and it was tough for me. But looking back, it was great, and Ray would be the first to agree that, Danny had too much control of these youngsters. But the trouble with me was I was a very good trainer and also very good on the social side of it. So
you could do both.
I could do both.
Some can do both.
I could do both. I just had a great work ethic in that, and it was probably stemmed from my farm life. The harder you work, the harder you have a couple of quiet ones, but you get up an hour early and work it off the next day. So leading teams is one of the reasons why I got it. So I had no regrets. Probably the hardest thing for me was in the end of 2000 or 2001 when Blighty left. Grant on the board come and knocked on my door.
Really?
Yeah, and asked me to coach the Saints, and I'm thinking, bloody hell.
Wow. So Blighty left in 2001, sort of round after round 15.
I'm pretty sure that's the time. And
wow.
I was in the midst of re-signing the contract, or not. The club was sort of looking at it, and I had another year to go anyway. But I knew my heart of hearts I was never going to say yes. But that was the toughest thing that I had to let go, because it was just down the road. I'm a Bayside boy, or the bush. But I also know another Ballarat guy in John Northey had coached the Tigers and broken a contract to go to the Brisbane. And I had put so much time into those Richmond lads, there was no way knowing I was going to leave. Yeah. But it was the easiest decision to make, but
the hardest in a lot of ways.
I had to go for a run. I had to let a lot of steam off, because I just was desperate to go back to the Saints.
So you got the phone call. So how did it all unfold?
It was a visit by a couple of board members. I'm pretty sure Grant was one of them.
Yeah.
Have I got any regrets? Definitely not, because I wouldn't have broken a contract. But the timing of it, unfortunately, the sliding doors didn't eventuate.
So fast forward through to 2005, 4 rather. You're under the pump. You'd probably go into that season knowing you're under the pump. How does that? That must have felt.
It was interesting, because and Clinton, the president at that stage, did a really good job. Footy director, unfortunately, Peter Welsh died far too early. He was a great confidant of mine. So it was tough, because they were umming and ahhing at the board meeting. We always have a board meeting, and basically I called Clinton up. I said, look, we need to probably, before the season starts, let's have a good chat about it. So I basically come to the stage where I just said to the guys, and they agreed that, if I didn't make finals, it was probably all over. And I think that was pretty realistic.
Yep.
I had 2 very ordinary years, and I wasn't going to shy away
14th, 13th
from that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was very ordinary years. So that sort of gave me the impetus to have a real, fight for your life, you might say. And did I coach them differently? No, but we sort of made a bit of a spurt. And then
you won the first game. Beat Collingwood in the first game as well.
It was a good win. Then I think we lost the next 3, and then I'm pretty sure we won the next 3. So all of a sudden we're 4-4, and things were going okay.
And then there comes a situation against Adelaide, pretty nightmare night. It was a Friday night from memory.
That's right.
When you lose a game to Adelaide and a fan spits on you as you're walking up the race. How frustrating was that? You talk about the passion of Richmond supporters. That's there, but that's what anyone should put up with at a footy ground.
No, it's not. I think, and gladly that never happened again.